If you can't sit in a silent room without turning something on, people think you're addicted to your screen. They think your attention span is fried, but they're wrong about you. And what your brain is actually doing in that silence is far smarter than anyone gives it credit for. You know the feeling. You walk into your apartment, you lock the door, and before you even take off your shoes or check the fridge, the first thing you do is turn on the TV. You're not really going to watch it. Maybe it's an old sitcom you've already seen 20 times. Maybe it's a 3-hour video about a game you've never played. Or maybe you're the person who can't brush your teeth, make breakfast, or fall asleep without a podcast or a lo-fi playlist looping in your ears. So here's the truth. You're not broken. You're not lazy. And you're definitely not doing this just because you like distractions. What's actually happening behind your ears is a sophisticated, completely rational neural strategy. Your brain is trying to protect you. There's a profound difference between loving sound and being terrified of what happens when the sound stops. One is just a preference. The other might be a survival mechanism wearing a pair of AirPods. So let's get into the real psychology behind why some of us genuinely can't stand absolute silence. Because your brain is doing some wild stuff behind the scenes. To understand why your brain has zero chill in a quiet room, we have to look at how you process the world around you. There's a concept in neuroscience called sensory gating. Think of your brain like a VIP nightclub. Outside, thousands of stimuli are trying to get in. The hum of your refrigerator, the distant traffic, the tick of a clock, the weird creak in your floorboards. In a typical brain, the bouncer at the door is sharp. He looks at that ticking clock, decides it's not on the list, and filters it out. And you exist in peace. But for people with higher sensory processing sensitivity, especially those with hyperactive self-awareness or high-functioning anxiety, that bouncer is completely overwhelmed. Your brain screenshots everything, records everything, and lets every single tiny background noise straight into the main room. In an absolutely silent room, those tiny, unpredictable sounds become magnified. The sudden click of the thermostat lands on your nervous system like a jump scare. So what do? You manually hire a bigger bouncer. You turn on a fan. You blast white noise. Psychologists call this stochastic resonance. It sounds academic, but it's actually a beautiful, counterintuitive trick. Back in 2007, a team of researchers published a landmark study in the Journal of Child Psychology and Psychiatry. They proved that adding a steady, controlled stream of background noise actually helps brains that are easily distracted focus better. Think of your attention like a heavy boat in a stormy harbor. If the water is completely flat and a random sharp wave hits it, like a sudden car alarm outside, the boat rocks violently. But if you fill the harbor with a steady, predictable wave, like the ambient murmur of a crowded coffee shop, the boat stays balanced. The background noise becomes a cognitive anchor. It gives the restless, understimulated part of your brain a harmless bone to chew on, so the rest of your mind can finally sit down and get some work done. But let's talk about the people who don't just use noise to work. The ones who need it to just exist. The ones who put on a random podcast while they fold laundry or take a shower. For them, it was never about focus. It's about warmth. Humans are hardwired to associate sound with safety. Think about our ancient history. An absolutely silent forest meant one of two things. Either a massive predator was nearby and every animal had gone quiet out of fear, or you were completely, utterly alone. Neither of those felt great to your caveman ancestors. Silence signaled danger. When you leave a comfort show like The Office or Friends playing in the background while you clean your room, you aren't consuming the media. You're using it as an emotional thermostat. Psychologists call this parasocial companionship. Research published in the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology found that humans frequently use media figures to create a pseudo-social presence just to fight off feelings of isolation. The muffled chatter of familiar voices tricks your nervous system into believing you're part of a safe, predictable village. It wraps around you like a sonic security blanket. It warms up an empty apartment, and it tells your primitive threat detection system that the people around you are laughing, the environment is stable, and you can finally relax. But before you get too comfortable with that explanation, we need to slow down, because here's the part that's a little more personal than most people want to admit. Are you using background noise to help your brain function, or are you using it as armor? Because for a huge number of chronic noise needers, sound isn't a tool for focus. It's a shield against their own internal monologue. Think about what happens the exact moment you turn off the TV, pull out your earbuds, and lay your head down in total darkness. The room goes quiet. The external world vanishes. And suddenly, that bouncer in your brain abandons his post. And into that empty, silent space rushes the one voice you've been running from all day. Your own thoughts. Suddenly, your brain decides that 2 in the morning is the perfect time to replay a slightly awkward conversation you had back in 2018. It pulls up your financial anxieties, your dread about the future, that low, heavy feeling that you aren't doing enough with your life. In psychology, using outside stimulation to constantly drown out internal discomfort is called experiential avoidance. Dr. Stephen Hayes, who pioneered a lot of the research on this pattern, found something unsettling. Avoiding your inner experiences, your uncomfortable thoughts, your anxiety, your old memories, actually causes those exact feelings to grow stronger over time. When you plug your ears with constant noise from the moment you wake up to the moment you sleep, you aren't erasing your anxiety. You're just hitting snooze on it. You're building a dam against your own mind. And yeah, the dam holds for a few hours while the podcast is playing, but beneath the surface, the water level is rising. The pressure is building, and your brain becomes terrified of silence because it knows that the second the noise stops, the dam breaks. The background noise becomes an addiction to distraction. You become a prisoner to your own soundtrack, unable to sit with your own mind for even 3 minutes without feeling an overwhelming urge to reach for your phone. So what do you do with all of this? How do you heal a relationship with silence when your own head feels like an unsafe place to hang out? First, you have to realize that those intrusive thoughts that rush in when the room goes quiet aren't a verdict. They're just unread notifications. Your brain has been processing data all day, and because you never gave it a single moment of quiet to file things away, it has to do all the heavy lifting the second you close your eyes. Second, and this is the hard part, you have to learn to take the armor off in small doses. You don't need to go on a 10-day silent meditation retreat tomorrow. Just try brushing your teeth in silence. Try driving to the store without turning on the radio. Let your mind wander. Let it be messy. Let it be anxious for just 5 minutes. When you prove to your nervous system that nothing terrible happens when the background noise stops, something shifts. The silence stops feeling like an empty void and starts feeling like a room where you can finally breathe. You're not broken for needing that sound right now. Your brain found a smart way to keep you safe and balanced in a world that feels incredibly loud. But remember, the ultimate form of self-control isn't controlling the volume of the world outside. It's being okay with the voice inside. The next time you reach for that remote or open that app just to fill the quiet, check in with yourself, honestly. Are you looking for a cognitive anchor, or are you just running from a conversation with yourself? Because the most interesting person you'll ever listen to is already in the room, you might just need to turn down the noise to finally hear them. If this video just explained a habit you've never been able to put into words, don't scroll away just yet. The videos popping up on your screen right now are direct follow-ups. They break down exactly how your brain processes sensory overload and why certain daily routines feel absolutely mandatory for your peace of mind. They aren't random. They answer the exact questions this video probably just raised in your head. Hit subscribe, click through, and I'll see you there.